Hi everyone, I'm Liz.
I'm Christine.
This is my mom. So I'm Liz. I manage all of the social media for Rustic Pathways, and I'm super excited because today my mom, who is a Rustic mom, is going to be answering all of our questions.
I'm so rustic.
And we're just going to talk through what it's like to be a Rustic parent, what it was like to actually have me traveling. I was a Rustic student. We're not mentioning how long ago it was.
Not how long ago, but how old she was. Because she was very young. I think your first trip, you were 15?
16.
Planned it when you were 15.
Yeah. But I've been on about 3 summers with Rustic, back when cell phones weren't really as prevalent, and all different things. I actually have worked with Rustic in Fiji. That was another lovely experience that we can talk about. But she's been through it all. So we're really excited to have you guys ask us all the questions that you have. Parents, this one is for you. We've been getting a lot of questions just about like what to pack, what it's like to actually have your student leave home.
How nervous will I be? You'll be nervous.
But it turned out okay.
Oh, why did you keep going?
Clearly it turned out okay. So, Mom, how did you find Rustic?
I went to a summer opportunities fair at a local high school, and I went from booth to booth collecting information. And I was just really impressed with the information that I got at that time. And I can't remember which one of us first saw the climbing Kilimanjaro, but that was the one that Liz seemed to want to do. So that was, we didn't, how did they put it, toe in the water. We went in.
Turned out great.
It did.
I think it was you. So we found the catalog first. I know that seems like the way that you guys might have found Rustic, but that was how we found Rustic too. What'd you think?
Can I tell them what I thought?
Yeah.
This sounds silly, but I really did think, well, this is a very professional and beautiful catalog. It must be a good quality company.
Shout out to all the graphic designers on that one.
Let me also say that the people that I spoke with at the Opportunities Fair also gave me a lot of confidence. It wasn't just the catalog, but I might be maybe close to that shallow about that.
So my first trip was climbing Kilimanjaro. That's one in Africa, in Tanzania. And it was a lot to prepare.
It was a lot to prepare because it wasn't just the trip, which, you know, we were provided packing lists and we were comfortable with all that, but it was also the actual physical getting ready to climb and the boots and I guess just, you know, making sure that she was physically ready also was a little bit more intense.
Yep.
Your other trips, I think the following years, like, you know, with the pandas and India, they weren't, I would say, quite so intense getting ready.
Right, but when my first trip, like, I didn't have a phone. What did you think? Because, like, phones are a really big, like, question that we get while students are traveling. And did you even think to have me pack a phone at that point?
I think that you did take a phone on a trip later on, maybe when they became a little bit more common. We bought a a travel phone, but it didn't make it very far.
I only made it on the airplane.
So we did all the trips without a phone, and it worked out fine. I mean, I was definitely anxious to hear how things were going, and the updates, you know, they weren't very often, and I was, you know, looking forward to them, but they came, and I was comfortable, and I'm glad that it wasn't in a time with cell phones. I think that it would have taken a little bit away from it.
Yeah, I think it made a difference. And I would like to point out that the GCC position that is available, go online and apply for anyone who is 22 and older, is actually a position that is completely designed to give parents more updates while their students are traveling. So, like, if I was on a 1-week trip, you'd get an email halfway through telling you, like, what we were up to, which would make traveling, like, not having a phone a little bit easier, don't you think?
Yes, that would definitely help. Well, she had that job in Fiji, and I said at the time, I wish that they would have had this when you were traveling. I would have appreciated it. The person would have had to maybe field a few emails from me, but
Please tell me you weren't one of the crazy moms that.
I handled it. I hit it.
She tried hard. And also, I want you guys to know that we have a computer open here in case any of the parents watching have questions about what it was actually like to have someone on the ground, have a student away from home and traveling. So I think we should maybe explain. So we talked about packing, and you felt like the packing list was all there.
Oh, that was very complete always for every trip. And the one year, I think you went to 3 very distinct different trips, and we had to combine all those. But I thought
I learned to
we
carry
were
my
ready.
own bag pretty well.
You learn quite a few things from these trips. I was always, I never had to think how was she going to be when she left for college. I knew she would be just fine.
Can I tell the story about the service skirt?
I guess, because I don't know what you're going to tell.
So
but...
packing, I think it's really important.
Yes,
So
yes.
Packing is super important for these trips, especially because you're going to be on the ground doing things. There's a ton of different cultures that are happening. And you need to be conscious of what's going on. I remember one of the trips, I needed a long, loose skirt for service. And when I was 16, it might have been a bit of a battle, I would say, as all mother and daughters have. But I had that service skirt, and I was so excited about it and so happy I had it. So for everybody out there, please look at the packing list and really make sure that what you're packing, you're conscious of what's going on.
Right, and I think don't pay attention to the list. You're going to go out of your comfort zone. So when you read a long skirt for service, you don't have to think, what will my friends here think of my long skirt for service? I would never wear that. That's terrible. That's not ugly. You have to think what you'll be like in the country, and there you won't care. You'll want to fit in. You'll want to be able to do all the activities, and that's why you're going, to not care what you have on every minute and to think, so in the box that you live. That's what I wanted for you.
Shout out to all the people that buy tie pants while they're traveling. So when I actually got on the airplane, I met up with the flight leaders and I left. What did you think then?
I was still probably nervous the first time.
What about the second time?
I was probably saying prayers. I was excited for you. All the times I was excited for you. Not just that, but I've since then been in airports when I see the leaders and students go through, and hello!
Mama Ron's right here. If you're in an airport and you see a mom running up to you, it's probably
fun. So, I was nervous, but you were on the trip because I was excited for the opportunity. And, the only thing that doesn't make you nervous would be staying home and doing the same thing you do all the time. So,
getting out of my bubble.
Getting out of the bubble.
So you think when I got back from the trips, because we could go into what happened on the trips, but that's not what this one is about. Do you think I came back different?
Certainly. I think that you had traveled earlier than that with people to people. But the amount of self-assurance and the underlying feeling of you can do it, or that I have the ability to do it, or I can take this on, I think it's just invaluable. And I think that I always said this to you. So no matter what school you're in, Liz has brothers and sisters. There's always a little, sometimes, drama in your social life or in school life or whatever. To have a completely different set of circumstances and a completely different set of friends that you can relate to, it really does put anything here in perspective. And as any problems, it just is a worldview that you can't get without, I don't believe, the travel. And so that was always what was important to me, was just this isn't how people live. And, I don't mean get over yourself. But
typical mom behavior right here. Don't get over yourself.
But just to have that point of view of a world perspective instead of,
No, it changes your complete world. It changes everything that you know, regardless of whether it's 1 week or a month or however long you're traveling. It changes everything that you know.
And, you've made friends for a lifetime. It wasn't with Rustic Pathways. I wish I could say that it was, but my son traveled with People to People, and he traveled in the 8th grade, and I think he went to Europe in the 8th grade. And
Christian, mom's telling all your secrets.
Yeah. And he actually met the girl that we believe he's going to marry. They, of course, didn't date until they were in college, but they did meet then, and they wouldn't have met if it wasn't for that program. So you do make friends, though, and you keep those friends for a lifetime.
I still have a lot of Rustic friends. One of them actually became a program leader with Rustic. Everybody kind of sticks around. It's an experience that I was talking to a group of students maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago at our San Francisco open house, and Dad asked, is it weird having, freshmen and seniors together in a group? And I said, you're all in it together. At the end of the day, you don't even
remember,
notice
I
age.
can remember being concerned about that.
Yeah.
On both sides of the spectrum, both when you were young, because I think you were one of the youngest in that first
on that trip.
And then toward the end, because we had to stop you because you were finally working for Rustic. But I was concerned on both ends of that spectrum, and in both times, or all the times, it made no difference at all.
Yeah,
I don't think you ever came home and said to me, there were young people, there were too many old, never. It just didn't come up.
Well,
it wasn't an
away.
issue.
You don't notice it. Like in high school, I felt like you always knew who was a freshman and who was a senior. But
you don't know that on a trip, right?
Because you're all doing it together. You're all out of your comfort zone. You really don't know what's going to happen, and you just have to like trust that.
And you're definitely with like-minded people, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because the other people believe in the experience too, and the other parents believe in the experience. You know, you have to set yourself up with that mindset. Is that it is nerve-wracking going to an airport with, you know, not knowing people, but within 2 seconds, I would say like 5 minutes.
I think that also people would say to me, especially when you were younger, especially when you were like in 7th or 8th grade and we're traveling with different companies, aren't you nervous? Why would you do this? I can't believe you would think of this. And, you know, the chances of something happening, you know, like millions of Americans are traveling every day and nothing happens. You know, that's like someone coming to St. Louis. I can remember when we had the floods and people was like, are you in the floods? Like, no, that would be down near the Mississippi River. So it's a safe world. And I think that that's another, not that caution isn't a good thing, but that's another thing that people that don't get outside their comfort zone don't realize that.
I mean, you always have to be safe and conscious while you travel, but I mean, when I was leading trips with Rustic, that's one of the things that I felt so assured about was the safety precautions that were set and the standards that we have. So
Definitely.
I think you felt like very comfortable in the fact of the safety systems that were set up for like me and the group, and it felt comfortable to you. Mm-hmm. What do you think about, did you notice a difference? So I obviously went on multiple trips. Did you notice a difference between like the first time I came back and after going on like, you know, the third trip? Was it still a change every single time?
Well, you don't do this so much anymore, but you would come home like every country you went to. So you would come home a little... you would come home...
That was not the question.
All right, yes, I did see the amount of maturity was amazing.
I may have purchased some things.
You may have purchased some things. And your room sort of, you know...
Adapted to
each individual place. And, you know, the handmade basket from... Where was it from? I don't know. It's all hanging still. I definitely saw a difference. And... I mean, just your comfort level with new people, new places, new cultures, other people. I think that you're just really comfortable in your own skin, and I think that that's part of it too.
Yeah, because you leave all the pre-notions of yourself at home when you go on the trips. Like, you get to the airport, and, like, you're whoever you really want to be.
Yes,
like, you don't have to be who
exactly
you are at home, or you find yourself, I think, is probably the better way to say that.
You can have your service skirt on, and
I still have that service skirt. So, let's see. What other questions did I have for you?
Packing, getting ready, communication.
Were there any thoughts that you had, like,
I think that Liz didn't think about this probably at all, but I was at that Opportunities Fair because, you know, the whole preparing for college was important to us. And, you know, what's in your resume? What is your, you know what I mean?
College letter.
Your college essay. What are those essays? What do they say?
We'll get it.
So this was obviously early, but, you know, you have to think about those things. And I was thinking about those things. The amount that we received from the trips was so far past that. You know, that was on my list of goals. So were being on sports teams. So I had a lot of those.
One has made a little bit more difference, a little bit of a bigger difference.
But, you know, I don't think that anything could... If we took out your travel from your life, I just can't picture it.
Yeah.
what the influence that
Clearly,
it
because
had,
I'm sitting here on Rustic Pathways
the
Facebook.
influence it had on everything, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I really did write my college essay on my Rustic trip, and it went beyond, I now manage our internship program, and I read a lot of different applications from students, and it goes beyond just saying, like, this trip changed my life. Yes, it might have. It might have transformed, what I believe, but I think it goes beyond that. It makes you realize things in a different way, be a better person, realize how you want to be, and I think that really
definitely
helped.
does adjust your gratitude level.
Yeah, for sure. So you think it impacted, you would say it, like, impacted my life in a positive way?
Yes, I would definitely say that it impacted your life in a positive way.
Thank you.
I think it's amazing. I urge everyone to...
And I wouldn't say it's just me. I mean, my brother traveled. We have friends that did Rustic trips. We have friends that have traveled, by themselves, done gap years, done all of these things.
And I have friends that had much younger children than Liz, and they've all now traveled with Rustic. We had someone do the, Australia challenge.
Oh my gosh. One of our family friends did the Australian survival trip. Pretty much you go to Australia and go on an island, a completely secluded island, and learn survival skills from, like, wilderness first responders.
I
and
didn't
how to live.
send Liz on that.
Well, that's because it came out last year.
Okay, that's why.
No, but I do think, all of the trips are, like, unique in their own way. So what would you tell to, like, a parent that's kind of on the fence about right now kind of traveling, or just, like, travel in general? They're thinking about it, but they're on the fence.
I can understand that they're on the fence. I had to talk myself through that also. I think it's valuable. I don't think there's another way to accomplish the growth that you had in 2 weeks, or then when she started to combine trips longer. But I'm grateful for every single opportunity that we were able to have for you. Like, it was amazing. And, she was also on the sports teams, and she was the captain. I think all those things were
Clearly,
important.
this is my mom who's bragging, but no big deal.
But I mean to say, I think all those things were important, but I don't think anything was more important than the travel.
Yeah, I would
They were all
definitely say.
skills, and they were all building skills. But as far as just, I think that developing at a time when they're developing their sense of identity, the identity of, like, I am a member of a community of this world, and it's more than did we win or lose that game last week, or what dress am I going to wear to prom, or whatever. I just think that there's nothing quite like it.
I was trying to think of one part of that I really liked. You said it didn't matter if it was 1 week or 2 weeks. It made a bigger difference than a year in school. Which I think is kind of interesting, because my first trip I did was 12 days. It was a week. It was about a week-long trip. And then the next summer I went longer.
Maybe 2.
Yeah. And then the next time I went longer, and it didn't matter the amount of time. Like, the first trip, I remember you saying, like, we're doing one trip. We're not combining. I need to, like, we need to feel this out.
Yeah. I need to know that we're not doing 2. I just want you to come home. I just want to look at you and make sure things are fine. And
then
I was excited to be able to do that, because to say transformation sounds a little, I don't know, corny, but it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
you wanted to make sure that,
very,
And I think
you kind of come home with, what did I give you when you got home from the one trip? Like a little picture of that little engine that could?
I still have that in my house. But I think, so when we're talking about combining trips, it's, you can do a 1 week trip. Say you want to do, like, I want to do a service trip and combine it with one that was more sightseeing. You can combine them to create the amount of time that you actually want to travel, or that your family feels comfortable with. And I think the also thing I would point out is, like, I had to work to, like, fundraise for these trips. It wasn't just, like, we have a fundraising guide. If you think that this is something that you really want to do, you can do it. That was one thing that we had talked about. And I had to work every weekend after school job to go on these trips, because I felt like it was something I really wanted to do. And I think that actually made the buy-in. I think that made the buy-in bigger, though. But for anyone who's thinking, like, I can't do this. I want to, but I'm not sure how. We have a fundraising guide. We have scholarships. Go apply for those. They're closing soon, so head to rusticpathways.com. Are there any other advice that you would say or give about travel, trips? Not the general landscape or life, but
no, not that I can
just
think
do
of.
it.
Just, the parent's nervous about sending the student, and that's understandable. But what I didn't want was you nervous in life. Do you know, like,
yeah.
You pretty much feel I can go anywhere, I can do anything.
I mean,
or you at least know you'll get over it once you're there.
I think
that you're going to make friends.
I think that would be the biggest one, is that you never stop getting homesick, at least in my opinion. You never stop being nervous when you're on the airplane, but you figure it out and you learn every single time something different, and just puts everything back in perspective. But even like traveling outside your community, or like going someplace in the U.S. doesn't just have to be international travel.
No.
It's any type of going outside of what you know.
Going outside of who you know.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, happy that you traveled without all the social media, although my friends' children, they were at the time when all that was in. And
It's still
I think
in.
I know it's in. Are we on the Facebook?
We are on the Facebook, and you are talking to the social media person, so it is still in. Please keep following all of us.
But I was happy for a little break of it, too. They were happy for a little break of it.
I think it's important. I think when you put all of that down, it just allows you to, like, actually enjoy the experience. And, like, I'm on social more than I probably care to admit for work and personally, but it makes a big difference. I think that would be, like, my advice to anybody traveling, or even to a parent. Like, trust the system and really just know the impact it will have in the long run.
I agree.
All right. It was lovely chatting with all of you today. If you have any questions, comment after the video, and I will answer them. My mom will be around to answer them. Thanks, Mom. Oh,
Bye.
wait, hold on. We have a question. We are just about to say goodbye. Okay. What do you think? Thanks for asking your question, Emily. What was the biggest change in your child after they returned? So not just me, Christian, everybody else.
I've said this so many times now, but it really was a sense of ability. Like it was like a shift in how comfortable you were, or how you felt able to do things. And it was several trips in, but I laughed with a couple other Rustic parents as we dropped freshmen off at college. Well, of course, I was crying. And
She cries at everything, though.
Pledge of Allegiance. That's what. But at those moments where that's such a big shift, you're just more comfortable. It definitely just puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
It puts the gifts that we have in perspective, that's not how that is everywhere, that people are all really very similar, and that you developed relationships in all these countries, and with different people from all over the United States and
in the world. I mean, a lot of different.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot about me. Do you think it was the same for my brother Christian, who both of us are very different?
Right. You were were always very outgoing, and so maybe that was some more natural, things that happened for you. But also with him, I think that he seemed just so much more comfortable, and content maybe is the word I'm looking for. I don't know.
Do you think with the programs, so I did a couple different programs about, some of them were service, some of them were travel. Do you think the service programs, would you say like they made it like the service that Rustic was doing?
I love that, you were doing service, but I don't think I'm trying to like gauge this, but I didn't
It's also been a long
know
time.
some of these questions. I think that your perspective shift on the world was the same, whether or not you were doing service.
But I think I figured out more about like what I was passionate about, and like working with students. Like I decided I wanted to go into marketing and do like educational marketing specifically to a younger generation. I figured out, I think that those were.
I was definitely happy that there was always a service component, but I think that your the gifts that you got from travel didn't necessarily have anything to do with which trip had the most service.
Do you think the ones that like pushed me? So I would say like Rustic goes to a lot of like off the beaten path places. For those that might not know Rustic as familiar right now, it's a lot of like going into communities and
you taught it at school,
that you couldn't go to otherwise. I mean, really, like Rustic builds these relationships with these communities and assesses the work that needs to be done. And given I learned a lot of this after I traveled, but do you think that made the difference, going off the beaten path and going out?
That definitely made the difference because, we traveled as a family, but you're not going to places to stay at the Holiday Inn and, see the, one main site of that place. You are kind of entrenched in the area and you see it definitely in a way that we weren't going to be able to provide.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think it's not the same traveling with a parent. They're not with their backup system. So could we do this as a family? Could we have done this as a family? Other people would have asked me that. And you can take them, but you can't, I don't know, it's not the same set of wings that you're providing to have a parent around for everything.
Carry your own bag. Where is where's your camera?
Yeah.
Oh, that was on the airplane.
Yeah.
But yes, so I think that was a good answer.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. If anybody else has any questions, we are happy to answer them
anytime.
But we are going to
I hope that I can answer any parent's question and make them more comfortable with being able to say, yeah, it's really a great idea. So
Mama Ronz is available for personal calls about Rustic Pathways.
They contact
you. They will go through the Facebook page. Comment on the Facebook page. But we're going to go let you enjoy your wonderful Friday afternoon. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.